Ladies and gentlemen, we are here for more lore! So the Game Theorists just dropped, and again, I'm gonna miss matpat so much when he leaves. He just dropped a video, oops, Lethal Company accidentally ended the world. People keep telling me I need to do a lore deep dive on Lethal Company. As you know, I, the great Lord Nuxanor, do my 100% blind reactions to different lore in different video games. This has been my newest thing that people have been really enjoying, and I've been enjoying doing it as well. So that is what we're doing today. The 100% blind Lethal Company actual lore. I don't actually know anything about this game or this lore, so let's see what we got. Let's learn a little bit about this lore. Let's learn something about lore.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Game Theory, the show that's never afraid to go outside for scraps of lore.
Bullshit, you've never gone outside before. You just sit at home and touch grass. Come on, Matthew, we know the truth.
You know what? I've been in a bit of a bubble recently. With these being my final episodes, I've been so focused on tying up loose ends, continuing franchises that I've grown up with over the years, doing the episodes that I never had the chance to do, that honestly, I've been missing out on some of the newer games that have been coming out. So today, I'm gonna change that, simply because this game has been impossible to miss.
True, Lethal Company is literally everywhere, and I know nothing about it. I'm told that the lore is actually interesting, and it's not just like an Among Us ripoff, and that's what I'm told. But we'll see.
It has been all over the YouTube space. It even managed to sell more copies than the latest Call of Duty.
Shit, that's crazy.
Talking about everyone's favorite survival horror co-op game of the moment, Lethal Company. The game itself is pretty...
Can't spell company without cum.
You and up to 3 of your friends have been hired by a mysterious organization known simply as the Company.
Dude, it's always the Company. It's always the Company!
Travel around to different moons with abandoned bases collecting scrap, and when I say scrap, I do mean literal junk. Broken engines, street signs, even teeth.
So it's basically Fortnite. Got it. It's Fortnite Among Us.
Basically, if you can find it on an episode of Hoarders, the Company wants their hands on.
Capitalism, the video game! Ladies and gentlemen, take your little pieces of shit that you find after being hired by the Company, and try your best to not turn into a Niji-Sanji incident.
Oh, and did I mention that there's also hideous monsters trying to kill you the entire time?
Oh god, we're not doing a smash or pass on the monsters, chat. Don't even start.
No, well, neither did the Company. And so now you and your team have to risk your lives to reach the Company quota. Fail to meet it over 3 days, and suddenly you're released of your duties, Among Us style.
I told you it was an Among Us ripoff! I was so right! You were all calling me a hater! I was so right. It's just Among Us with extra steps and more capitalism.
If you do manage to toe the Company line, though, and reach the quota, you are handsomely rewarded with another 3 days of work and a new higher quota.
If you actually do succeed to make the Company proud, you just get another job to do another job to make the Company proud. And the cycle continues. I love VTuber companies. Dude, this Lethal Company is just Niji-Sanji. If you take the letters of Niji-Sanji, you flip them around a little bit, you add a few and subtract some others, then you literally get the same word.
Capitalism. It's great. Currently, there's no...
Based. Capitalism is great. We all make memes. We all joke around. Hassan might kill himself if he hears this, but capitalism is pretty great.
Ending to this game, the cycle just keeps repeating on and on until inevitably your team fails to gather enough scrap, or you die trying. And for most players, that's where it ends. They're just happy running around collecting scrap, screaming and twerking as they do. But the experience doesn't have to end there. Oh no, my friends. The Company is hiding something from us.
No way! The shady Company hiring you to be like the little scut laborers at the bottom of the totem pole is actually hiding something for you? This is just Niji-Sanji freaking doxing their talents before they leave.
You mean like the fact you're playing a game about landing on things that don't exist?
I love how he always includes the new hosts in his videos because they're about to take over.
Tom, we've been over this. The moon exists, okay?
That's what the Company wants you to think.
True, but that's just a theory, a conspiracy theory. I'm just waiting for the 5th matpat channel that talks about John F. Kennedy's assassination. It's gonna be great.
Forgive him, he's out of line. But he also does have himself a point.
What, that the moon doesn't exist?
Not about the moon existing, that's clearly stupid, but the idea...
No, don't say, you lame, you just, that's what the Company wants you to think.
Idea of
the shadow government is real. Bank accounts are a scam created by the shadow government to control the world, I'm telling you.
Company conspiracy. You see, by finding hidden files, scanning creatures in the game, and using some good old-fashioned real-world history, we can actually start to piece together exactly what went down in the Thistle Nebula.
Why? Oh, fuck yeah, baby. actual lore. We are going crazy here. Lore through Lethal Company, also known as the VTuber graduation simulator.
Everyone's missing. Why there are monsters patrolling these moons? Why is the company the one behind it all?
Okay.
Strap into your ships, loyal theorists.
I'm ready.
We're
I'm
gonna
ready.
salvage every scrap of lore that the company has to offer.
Let's freaking go, baby. The 100% blind speedrun reaction of Lethal Company lore. I'm telling you, I've been here. I've been objective. Minecraft impressed me. Poppy Playtime impressed me. Even FNAF impressed me. Lore in this stuff games have actually been impressive so far. Will this be the first game that I actually do a deep dive into the lore and I'm just disappointed? Stay tuned to find out, and 10,000 likes for the next lore deep dive. I'm thinking it'll be on Plants vs. Zombies. Let me know.
Now, in order to figure out what's going on with the company, we first need to figure out what's going on with the world, or worlds that the company currently operates on.
What? Worlds?
These places are completely desolate other than the monsters. And yet, here we are, collecting scraps from human-based civilizations, like cooking utensils or whoopee cushions. And something tells me that these mutant spiders aren't really into fart pranks. People clearly used to live here
Have you tried?
on these moons, but then something happened.
This is just murder drones.
Something that managed to wipe out not just one planet's worth of people, but dozens of
This literally is murder drones. This is the same plot as murder drones.
planets worth of people. When we're playing the game, the terminal tells us that the year is 2532. So your
Okay.
initial thought might be that years into the future, we killed the planet, we colonized the moons, only to die out as a species anyway.
Makes sense.
And you know
Makes
what?
sense.
You'd actually be kind of right about
Let's
that.
go!
The thing that's probably more surprising, though, is the timeline of that happening. In your ship, you can find a sticky note that gives you a secret code to punch into your computer terminal. Doing this gives you
Okay.
access to a former crewmate's personal logs, a character known as Sigurd. Sigurd gives us
Bro, this is Dark Souls again. Another Sigurd. Everywhere you go, Sigurd follows you. The Onion Knight follows you wherever you go.
a lot of information about the operations of the company. But the thing that caught my attention the most
1968?
was the fact that they were made in 1968.
That's crazy. Okay.
Whole year before Neil Armstrong first stepped foot on the moon. Now that sounds pretty conspiratorial to me, and it turns out that there
I
are some
believe it.
space travel conspiracy theories that align perfectly with these dates.
Wait, so the Lethal Company lore follows a universe where the moon landing conspiracy theories are actually real. That's fucking cool.
There's one theory out there that believes space travel was achieved during World War II by the Nazis, who sent a bunch of their high-ranking officers to the moon in order to avoid prosecution. These officers then built a base on the dark side of the moon and continued their war efforts from afar.
The dark side of the moon. That's why the moon hates Jews. A lot of people don't know that, but it's just fact.
Very far, waiting for the proper time to strike back. Now, obviously in real life, this is ridiculous, but in the world of
How could you say that when Enel is on the moon?
the game, this would actually tie into the idea of moon bases and the ability to traverse the galaxy before the 1960s. There's even a
SCP-001, the Dark Moon.
poster in the game that seems to confirm this type of timeline. Inside your ship, there's this poster right here that talks about preserving food. This
Okay.
isn't just a fun poster made specifically for the game. It is
No.
a real poster that was used during
No.
the 1940s, which
The timeline actually adds up. That's crazy.
seems to imply that mankind has been operating in space since at least that era, if not even earlier.
That is such a cool plot. Oh my god, the whole plot of the game takes place in a world where the conspiracy theories about the moon landing are actually real.
Except, obviously, this poster is not German, it's from Pennsylvania. Notice down here it says, in cooperation with Work Progress Administration. This was a government program designed to employ people to work on public projects like construction of buildings and roads. And in the game, clearly this has seemed to have moved forward into NASA-like projects as well, which would seem to imply that the
Yo.
company wasn't always in the business of collecting scrap. Instead, it seems to suggest that the company got its start helping the US government win the space race. This
Very interesting. So then how did it evolve to where we are now? So how did that bring us to where we are now? Okay, so the entire moon shit, space race, okay, fine. The company's been really popping for a long time, but where are we?
This then is starting to feel a lot less like the Nazi moon base conspiracy and more like the 1959 study known as Project Horizon. This study was done
Okay.
by the US military and was essentially their attempt to colonize the moon in the name of good old-fashioned patriotism.
America!
But obviously this was the military,
America!
so of course a big part of the plan was to build outposts and design weapons specifically for moon and space-based combat.
Fucking base. They just wanted Halo to be real.
One of those weapons was a modified claymore or landmine. And remind me again,
What?
what's one of the hazards that we have to
No.
be aware of while we
No!
explore all these abandoned moon bases in the game? Oh yeah, landmines. It seems
To say that, oh, landmines were mentioned in the conspiracy about the Event Horizon theory. All right, that's a bit of a jump. All right, let's be honest here. Let's be real for just a second. Landmines, come on. Like, At least they could have made it look like the other one, like the one in the picture.
To me that in this universe, Project Horizon was a success, or at least something like Project Horizon. And it seems like the company has been there since the start. You'll notice that all the landmines and turrets that you can find throughout the game are all suspiciously controlled by the terminal on board your company's ship. It's likely the reason we can connect to all this technology is because the company designed these systems to work together. They created both the ship and the weapons that are on these moon bases.
Wait a sec. So what's the company's goal then? The company is our allies and our enemies at the same time? Why are they doing this? Like, what's the end goal?
So if you're a company that has a government contract to make some space weapons, how do you make money? Well, by inciting and fueling a space war.
I take it all back! I should have let him cook! Oh my god! Dude, they are playing both sides! My question is, why are they playing both sides? They're playing both sides so the government can keep funding them. They take the neutral side and secretly plan a space war. The company is just Mr. Beast's challenge 500 years into the future. Last person to blow up to a landmine wins $800,000. Oh my lord! This is insane!
In one of the data logs, Sigurd says, quote, I miss Dad. I hope he isn't staying on Titan. People are saying it's not going to look the same in 2 years.
Right, Titan is one of the moons of Jupiter, I believe.
Just told us they are about to go to war, and everyone is waiting for it. Every time we go to sell, the company building is shaking like there's a loud furnace inside. War is a-brewing in this galaxy, and everyone seems
War. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing.
To know that it's coming. And while it's not clear what the noise inside the company walls is exactly, the fact the noise has kicked in at the same time Sigurd starts talking about a coming war gives me reason to believe that the company has ramped up production of all its weapons. And just like Project Horizon recognized the need for newer, more space-efficient weapons, the company also seems to have developed a new type of weapon to use in this upcoming war. Most common type of—
Don't say the monsters are these biogenetically engineered creatures by the company to create and manufacture violence. War. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Say it again, y'all.
That you explore throughout the game is called a factory in the game files. And this makes a lot of sense. Remember, these are the bases that are controlled by company technology. So it's likely that these were the factories being used to create the weapons that we've been talking about. But outside of just the mines and the turrets, there's another kind of horror that's waiting for us inside of these factories. The monsters that—
Fuck, that's crazy. It's crazy. This entire game that you're playing is just fueling an endless cycle of fighting and violence so that the company puppet masters could keep siphoning money out of the government's hands. But at this point, what happened? At this point, now that there's so many, war is the oldest meta, war is the oldest business. At this point, why does it need to be like this in perpetuity, though? I feel like that needs to be explained as well.
They're actively trying to chase us down and kill us. Some of them are descendants of creatures from our own world, like the snare flea and the spore lizard, which are part of the same class as centipedes and alligators, respectively.
Okay.
But then there are others that are less naturally occurring.
I'd let that nutcracker crack my nuts if you know what I'm saying.
These are man-made objects that have been repurposed and brought to life to become deadly weapons. That might seem like a stretch, or at least it does, until you take a look at the in-game bestiary. Reading through the in-game bestiary, you find entries like this one for the coil head. Quote, they've been known to combust into flames when being dissected or even deactivated, and they carry dangerously high levels of radioactive particles. Due to this and other reasons, it has been highly speculated that they were created as biological weapons of war.
Oh god, oh lord. It literally is that they were purposely made. Oh god, to fuel the war. To fuel the war!
This was how the company was gonna prove its worth during the arms race. Biological weapons. Creatures that would kill anything they found and cause untold devastation for years to come thanks to their radioactive makeup. And it's these weapons, I suspect, that ravaged Titan, and likely all the other moons that we visit as well.
Bro, the company's sitting here being like, my friends, it has often been said that I like war. My friends, I like war. No friends. I love war. Holocausts, blitzkriegs, defensive lines, sieges, charges. I love mop-up operations and retreats. War across the prairies, in the streets, in trenches, in grasslands, in frozen tundras, through deserts, on the sea, in the air. I love every act of war that can occur upon this earth. War. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Ugh.
Sigurd was right. These places would look different in a couple of years. Rather than thriving colonies, we're instead met with desolate wastelands, abandoned factories. The only signs of civilization we find is scrap that we're collecting. Items belonging to the moon's former inhabitants, now left to waste in the after war. A war that the company itself profited from. But if this was so profitable for the company, why then are we now just reduced to a bunch of scrap collectors? Well, because like every other
yes,
evil corporation in these sorts of games, eventually they took things too far and lost control.
I love how he said that. Dude, he is hilarious. Dude, did you see the matpat moment? We just witnessed a glorious matpat moment. Look at this.
Other evil corporation in these sorts of games, eventually they took things too far and lost control.
Like every evil capitalist corporation in these types of games, wink wink, they took it too far. Yeah, in these types of games, totally not at all like what happens in real life. Totally not, because in real life, evil companies and capitalist corporations, they never take things too far. They're always ethical and moral in their stances. Are you ready to hear this empirical lib-dick, lib-cuck fact I'm about to spit? Sometimes, companies don't actually care about the people they employ.
One of the earliest of Sigurd's logs, we hear mention of a golden planet that was supposedly destroyed by a passing meteor. This sounds like it could be another conspiracy theory, and Sigurd and his team certainly think that there's nothing to it. But surprisingly, the idea of a golden planet, it is totally plausible in reality. Introducing 16 Psyche, a minor planet that orbits between Jupiter and Mars as part of the greater asteroid belt. Due to how reflective it is, scientists have hypothesized the surface might be covered in large amounts of metal. Things like...
Oh, God, dude, that's such a gimmicky joke. But wait, hold on. This is a real thing?
Iron, nickel, and yes, even gold. The approximate value of all that precious metal is estimated to be worth $10 quadrillion.
God damn, that's almost as much money as Niji Sanji's been making lately.
48
That's like Genshin Impact, but times 2.
1,000 Elon Musk's worth of metal on this thing. In fact, due to Psyche being noticeably more metallic than most other asteroids, some scientists have hypothesized that it may actually be the metal core of a once larger planet-like object. One that was destroyed when it was, get this, hit by a meteor.
No way, dude! There's no way. Lethal Company is just a compilation of all the most cursed scientific and sociological conspiracy theories. That is the world of Lethal Company. That's awesome!
Logs, we hear that Sigurd eventually learns that the golden planet was real. The only difference, though, is that it wasn't a meteor that destroyed it. It was something much bigger and much worse. One day, while Sigurd and his team are selling scrap to the company, he fires up the walkie-talkie and starts hearing strange sounds from behind the wall of the building. The sound of screams. But among the blood-curdling screams, Sigurd's able to make out a voice that tells him the golden planet wasn't hit by a meteor. Instead, it was swallowed up by something called the Beast. And
oh, God. See, there is Vor. I told you there was Vor. Y'all said I was crazy, but there was Vor all along.
Whoever was sending this message was inside the Beast currently, being digested by it.
Okay, that's just Vor. Like, that's...
This planet-eating monster is locked away behind the walls of the company, and now the company is doing everything in its power to keep it satiated. When you return scrap, the game...
bad guy in Lethal Company is just Galactus, and everyone's fucked.
Plays one of a few short voice lines from the company. Usually these things are just vague company play.
Keep our investors happy. Oh my God, dude, that's crazy. Keep our investors happy, guys. Keep our dude, Lethal Company is just the Niji Sanji simulator that no one ever wanted.
Platitudes.
We value your commitment. You are true professionals.
But there's actually a
if we ever do fire you from the company, we are going to make believe you don't exist, feed you to a monster, and then humiliate you.
Small chance, around 3%, for a secret rare voice line to play. And these are a lot more ominous.
We need you.
We need you. The scraps we deliver to get these voice lines are the things that keep the beast at bay. It's a planet eater after all, so we're just feeding it anything and everything that we can find.
Fuck, that's crazy. Wait, is this part of the theory or is this actually confirmed lore? Because that's so interesting. The reason why they're collecting scraps and useless shit is because it needs to constantly be consuming mass. So they are doing their very best to just give it stuff that would be a negligible loss, like random pieces of scrap and shit that they find, and to keep it at bay from actually consuming the planet. Bro, the company's sitting here just being like, oh, the scrap that we have fed it is negligible.
You know what fetches the highest price?
Humans. Don't say humans.
Bar of gold. Perfect for the
gold.
monster that has itself an appetite for planets made of the exact same stuff.
Interesting.
Sigurd in his logs also starts to connect the dots. Quote, what if there really is a big monster in the company building?
Pyrocynical had the same conclusion? Okay, cool.
Like the voice told me on the walkie-talkie. They trapped it and we feed it to keep it tame. But what does all this have to do with the company taking war profiteering too far? Aren't they the ones trying to help in this situation?
Yeah,
Well, remember
yeah.
earlier, I said that one of the company's biggest sources of money was making weapons. And over time, weapons only become more and more advanced. It's kind of the inevitable law of warfare. In our world, we went from muskets to rifles to bombs to missiles, and eventually we reached...
Dude, is he actually explaining the development of weaponry? True! Then Oppenheimer happened.
Weapons like nukes are so dangerous because of their indiscriminate and massive amounts of destruction. Everything and anyone that's caught in the blast is laid to waste. And so what happened after America set off a couple nuclear bombs during World War II? They went in and they tried to fix some of the damage that they caused. Since then, treaties have been signed about using these weapons of mass destruction because they're so dangerous to everyone and anyone involved. And that is what I believe is happening here in Lethal Company. As the company continued to make bigger and even more complex weaponry like the coil heads, eventually this would evolve into an even more powerful weapon, one that would devour anything and anyone in its path. In one of Sigurd's logs, he mentions trying to use his flash...
Wait, so he thinks that the actual planet-eating monster, he thinks that the planet-eating monster is a weapon? That's messed up! I thought it was gonna be like, and then after nukes, they developed Twitter. But no, he went crazy.
Flashlight to look into the company building behind the counter where he drops off his scrap. And he says, quote, "My flashlight didn't even go back there. The beam just went dark." Sounds an awful lot like a black hole, one that's been created as the next stage of
right, because black holes absorb light.
Biological weapon.
Man.
Think about it. If someone had the power to create and control their own kind of black hole, they'd be unstoppable. The problem was, they clearly did lose control. Instead of just laying waste to anyone that stood in their way, it devoured an entire planet, including the innocent residents that remain conscious inside of this monster to the...
But let's be real here. They would totally do that. I get so sick. If a company would develop a black hole gun that they could control, no matter how risky it is, they would fucking use it and they would sell that shit and they would make billions and they don't give a fuck.
This very day, knowing that they had just made a massive whoopsie, the company swooped in and tried to fix the mistake, containing the monster within one of their old complexes and constantly feeding it food to keep it satiated so it wouldn't cause any more unnecessary destruction. Maybe this is why they're just called the company and only use text-to-speech voices. They're specifically trying to seem generic, unidentifiable, so that people won't suspect that they were the ones that caused the disaster all those years ago. It's also probably why they only send you to planets that they know are desolate. I'm sure there are other more resourceful, abundant locations out there in the universe, but that would draw too much attention to what they're actually doing.
That's crazy. So you're in... Oh my god. They literally invented a black hole monster that they lost control of somehow. And the entire plot of Lethal Company is just foraging around between incredibly dangerous weaponry that they themselves created to just gather a bunch of useless, negligible shit to feed it so it doesn't get out of control. It's a literal endless cycle where you will never ever be free. And the moment you become useless, of course they're gonna eject you because they will feed you to the monster as part of the satiation. Dude, this is a awesome plot. Bro, I love that. So Lethal Company, all you're going around doing stupid random tasks, running away from monsters, it puts it into such a bigger sphere of reference because they put you here to collect shit just because it exists, not because it has any value, but just to collect this random crap, working for a company that has invented the things trying to kill you and also invented the thing that gives you the purpose of needing to find this stuff. You are the tiniest little cog in a massive machine that doesn't care about you even a little, just covering for the mistakes of the overlords that made them. That is such a painstakingly gruesome plot.
We need to keep this entire operation under wraps, which leads us to today and the ever-increasing quotas that we have to reach in order to keep things under control. In the words of Sigurd's crewmate Desmond, quote, "It's all a guise. We're supposed to think that it's all a transaction, but our real job is keeping an incredible terror fed. How long until its fullness ends and its
it's not vague at all. It's literally just slowly delaying the inevitable.
Hunger is insatiable." I actually think that there's an answer to that question. Remember those secret lines I mentioned earlier? Well, there's one that's sends us a very specific warning.
This wall cannot contain it.
The beast right now, it is contained inside these walls as we're feeding it. But as Desmond said, the beast is never truly full. The more it eats, the more its hunger grows.
I mean, that's how black holes work, right? Black holes just keep absorbing and keep growing.
As we play throughout the game, with each passing 3-day cycle, the amount of scrap that we need to bring it only increases. But there's only so much scrap out there in the universe. And with the beast's appetite only growing stronger with time, eventually there won't be enough scrap coming in to keep him.
That is how black holes work. There is no end. Black holes will just continuously consume. Oh my god, dude.
There is no winning in Lethal Company. There's
It's delaying the inevitable. What a good lesson. What a good moral. What a good conclusion, honestly.
Only delaying the inevitable. But here's the thing. While the game's been taken over the internet, it's still only in early access. That means that there's more story on the way, and likely an actual ending. Right now, you can just loop over and over until you can't make the quota, but players have managed to find something that I think ties into where the game's actually going. If you manage to parkour your way underneath the company building, you can actually find a drill on a track pointed straight at the company building wall. It's currently missing 2 pieces of scrap known as apparatus, devices that are used to power the factories on the distant moons. It's speculation, but I think when the full game releases, this is gonna come into play. Maybe we're following in the path of Sigurd, believing that there are people that
I think I know how it ends. They're gonna use a contraption to do something, probably. Yes, I agree.
need saving behind these walls. And so we end the game by powering the drill and busting through, only to reveal the beast, who then goes on to destroy everything.
Wait, you really think it's gonna actually end with the world getting destroyed? Because that's dark, bro. There's no way. No, they wouldn't do that. No.
Basically, the devs got us in a perfect catch-22. Either we stop playing the game and stop feeding the beast, causing it to...
And it destroys the world, or you keep playing the game and release the beast and destroy the world. Regardless, the world is getting destroyed. It's an inevitable oopsie that's been made. Honestly, it's not even a bad take. That's a really good plot for a game. Like, it's a fun concept for the game. The gameplay, from what I understand, is really fun. But on a much more lore perspective, it's such a great metaphor for the consequences of your actions. And sometimes doing things just for the money of it, just for the growth, just for the clout, just for the success, eventually will lead to your demise. Great story.
The company building, or we keep playing. We find the apparatus and eventually free the beast using the drill from the company building ourselves. Either way, we are dooming the Thistle Nebula. There are no good endings in Lethal Company. And that, my friends, is the lore of this game. An alternate universe where war profiteering in space leads to the inevitable death of humanity, no matter what you do. It is a bleak ending, but you do have to admit, the name of the game, it is very accurate. A business that dooms the entirety of the galaxy, truly the definition of a lethal company.
Great video. Actually, really good video. Interesting, good on... I like the game and the lore and the theory from like a metaphorical and philosophical level. It's also just interesting, and it promotes for some good gameplay. It's good commentary on society and shit. And honestly, I've never thought we'd get an interactive Niji-Sanji simulator in my lifetime, but we did. This has been the Nux 100% blind lethal company lore deep vibe vor reaction. I don't even know. 10,000 likes for the next deep dive lore shit. Maybe Plants vs. Zombies, maybe chapter 3 of freaking Poppy Playtime. Stay weird, man. Like, subscribe, and this video was streamed live on kick.com/Nuxanor. See you there. Stay weird, fam.